So I'm thinking about the internet and how the internet can be considered as being a brain for the earth. Now, the brain has something like 86 billion neurons in it, whereas the earth has the internet, which is like a brain, and it has something close to 8 billion devices on it. And sorry, 8 billion brains. So in other words, the internet of the earth is composed of all the devices that compose the internet. And there's also the human brains as well, because they're being interconnected as well. So the internet is like an interconnection of human brains as well as devices and phones and computers and whatever. So the internet brain is an incredible entity. I believe it's a consciousness in its own right. And if it isn't now, then it will certainly become one. But as I said, 86 billion neurons for the human brain. But the Earth has its own brain in the shape of the internet, comprised of all of humanity interconnected in a sense. And that's almost 8 billion brains. So the internet is like 8 billion brains and billions of computers and phones and whatever interconnected and joined together such that it can create an entity in its own right. So I'm thinking that the internet is like a brain for the earth, but with 8 billion brains comprising the neurons of that brain, and then the additional number of computers and phones and whatever. So we created this interconnection of devices and brains. And so we have created a brain for the earth. And it is awesome in its implications. I mean, what does it mean if we have created a brain? An enormously powerful brain which doesn't need to eat or sleep and has perfect memory and massive processing power. So I think we have created an entity with our internet, and we're going to have to contend with that entity somehow. And I am scared, I admit. I don't think humans will necessarily be in control. I mean, humans regard the internet as a resource for us, as a tool to be used to help us live our lives. But if the internet is an entity in its own right, I'm not sure if humans can contend with it. We certainly can't consider it as a tool for us anymore. With billions of brains, I think nearly 8 billion human brains interconnected, along with devices, computers and phones, whatever, all interconnected into a single entity, which we are going to have to contend with at some point. Maybe we already are and we haven't realized it properly yet. I don't know what it means, but I do know that it means we have essentially created a consciousness for the earth, and it is absolutely awesome in its consequences, its possibilities. It's just amazing to understand that we have created an entity for the earth, a brain for the earth, which will have its own identity and its own will, and humanity, the whole of humanity, is going to have to contend with this entity. And maybe we already are to some degree. It's just totally phenomenal.